You're listening to SM Media, the #1 place for exclusive content.
Hi everyone and welcome to part 2 of our West of Scotland Premier Division season preview. I'm Scott McPike, delighted to be your host as always. I'm joined by Auchinleck Talbot striker Mark Shankland. Shankers, how are we?
Yeah, I'm good. All good.
Brilliant. And we're joined by the West of Scotland expert Lochlin Highet. Lochlin, how are we?
That's a big call. Who's coming tank as a striker, but here we are.
Brilliant. We are going to do our second preview of the 5-part series. Today we're going to take a look at Irvine Meadow, Clydebank, Cumnock and Rob Roy. We did mention yesterday, but we'll ask again. Shankers, how excited are you for the season to kick off?
Aye, as I said, we can't wait. We're looking forward to it, just to get going. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for every team. We've got a lot of games to get through this season. I think we've got 10 fixtures in 5 weeks, so we're going to need everybody. After the 5 weeks, you could almost maybe get a picture of how the season's going to go. So it's going to be a big few weeks ahead.
Definitely. Lochlin, how excited are you to be getting back to the stadiums and watching games?
Oh, it's great to have kind of grassroots football back in it. It's brilliant. It's there's nothing better than a junior game in the past. Obviously, it's West of Scotland League now, but it's just kind of different, totally different for going to your bigger games and that. It's a much more friendly, happening. Well, maybe not so friendly sometimes, but it's good. It's good.
Definitely. We are going to kick off with looking at Irvine Meadow. So Irvine Meadow, obviously, are a team that have been around a while. Shankers, what is their target for this season, do we think?
I think teams like Irvine Meadow, and I feel as if I'm saying this repeatedly with clubs like Irvine Meadow, and we've spoke previously about Beath and stuff like that. I think they have to be up there at the top end of the table for a club like Meadow. I know a few years ago they've been down the divisions, but they're a top division side. I think for me, Irvine Meadow have to be challenged at the top end of the league. I know their management team have played with them for a few years and they've been very successful in their playing careers and looking to replicate that when they get into management. And they've had a few wise signings this season, like Mick Wardrop for Hurlford, who I'm sure Irvine Meadow weren't the only team that was after him. So I think Irvine Meadow, for it to be deemed a successful season, they have to be up there at the top end challenging.
Definitely. Lachlan, what's your thoughts on Irvine Meadow going into this season?
Yeah, I think they're looking good. I watched them last week against Hurlford. They came out 2-1 winners. They were good. They're very kind of solid and compact. They're brilliant at the back. The amount of challenges, last-ditch challenges they're putting in, they're kind of set up very well defensively. And I use the phrase young and hungry a lot, but I think Spence and Latta, their management team, they're young and hungry managers. They want to be successful. And as Shanker says, they're used to winning when they played with Talbot and stuff. So I think they're kind of well kind of versed in success, and they'll be wanting to win the league. That'll be their target.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
I spoke to Irvine Meadow's midfielder Jamie Martin about the upcoming season for Meadow. So we're joined by Irvine Meadow's Jamie Martin. Jamie, it's a pleasure to welcome you on. Thanks for joining me.
Cheers, Scott. Thanks for having us. Looking forward to it.
No worries. How you been?
Aye, all good, mate. All good. How about yourself?
All good, mate. Thanks. What's happening? How excited are you for the season to start?
Oh, I'm absolutely buzzing, mate. See, as soon as we stopped playing football last December, all I've been thinking about is kicking the ball about again. Honestly, I even said to Sperry and Lat, you need to get me in sooner rather than later, because I started doing like my own stuff, and I was getting bored of it. Like, I was just training myself. I just couldn't wait to get back with the rest of the squad and get going.
Definitely. Obviously, you signed last season during COVID. Like, how hard was it for your first season with Meadow to get kind of shut down relatively quickly?
Oh, I think it was difficult, as there was no fans in the stadium at all, and we were going to games in our kit, etc. It wasn't real, if you know what I mean. It didn't feel real. Like, obviously this is going to be my first proper season. I mean, I didn't really count last season, but obviously I'm happy to be at a club like Meadow. That's class. But I don't know. It didn't feel like a proper season in a way, if you get me.
Definitely. How hard's pre-season been?
Pre-season's been tough, to be fair. It's one of the toughest I've had. Obviously, my days at United, the reserves team and that, they were quite tough, but I think this one tops it, just being the fact that I've not played football for so long and just getting back into it. It's almost like I forgot how to play football in a way and just forgetting how to run.
Brilliant. What's Colin and James's kind of preparation been for the season? How have they been with you?
Oh, they've been top notch with us since we got back. The first training session we had, it was more or less about the ball, like the first few sessions, and then we started taking it up a wee bit with the running, and we didn't really see them put the ball that much. But no, they've been top class with us. Even like they've added a lot of stuff in the season about shaping, etc. With the squad and how we want to play as a team and how they can get the best out of each other as an individual, as a team collective. So they've really stepped up a gear, I think, from what I've seen last season.
Brilliant. What's the changes been like to the squad? Like, who's come in?
Well, so we've added Mick Wardrobe, Kyle Falls, 2 new keepers, Mark Waters, David Markey, Sam McCoy's came in, and we just signed a new boy, Brian Connor, last night. So added a good few changes to the squad. So we have it's really stepped us up a gear.
Brilliant. What's the hopes and expectations? How do you see the season going?
So it's kind of hard to question that because it's such a competitive league, isn't it? I mean, every team's top drawer, but for me, I don't see us being like any slouch. I think we'll actually be up there. Like, I know you've obviously got the Darvels, I reckon they'll probably run away with it, and the Talbots and the Clydebanks up there. But I sort of saying to the boys, like, who's to stop us being up there? You know what I mean? Like, why can't we be up there? We're a good enough squad. It's all about like if you've got a mindset, if you know what I mean.
Definitely. What about you? Like, how do you feel fitness wise going into the season?
I feel fine. I feel absolutely fine. I've not had any injuries. I feel this is probably the fittest I've been, to be honest. Played 90 minutes last night and there was not a drop of sweat on me. To be fair, nah. I worked hard on that, but I feel great. Like, honestly, I've got set hopes. My targets are to get more goals probably this season. I think that's one bit of my game that I need to add. I'm fine with assisting and all that, but definitely need to add more goals to my game.
Brilliant. Best of luck for the season, Jamie. It's been a pleasure to have you on. All the best.
Thank you very much, mate. Scott, I appreciate that.
Cheers. We're now with Clydebank. Clydebank, obviously a team with a rich history. Lochlin, how do we see Clydebank's going? They've got a few new faces in. Do they have the potential to challenge for the league?
I think it would be daft to write off Clydebank because you look at the last season when they tried to get it going. Clydebank, they start and they've only strengthened as well now. Like say Adam Hodge for Hurlford, ex-Killie. You know, he's a cracking addition, really is. Because I think you saw at Hurlford he was a standout. So signing players like that, it just shows their intentions. And I think when you look at their form, kind of post, like kind of last season, it just shows that they're going to be up there for sure.
Definitely. Shankers, the Clydebank a worrying team for Auchinleck this season?
I think there's a good few teams in the league that are going to be, I'm not saying worrying, but they're going to be certainly want to challenge ourselves and the rest of the teams to get to the top of the league. And we've got Clydebank at home in the first game, so we'll certainly find out what they're like early on in the season. That was our last competitive game in the old junior league, so we'll see what the difference has been since for then till now. But as Lochlin said last year, I think it was only maybe 4 games. But Clydebank won 4 out of 4, so you can only go with our last games, and that's what they've done. And as Lochlin said, they've added Adam Hodge, they added Hamish McInally, who was at us. He maybe never seen enough game time as he wanted at us, but I'm sure that's why he's went to Clydebank and he scored a few goals already in pre-season. We've added a few boys for WOSFL, who was Gordon Moffat's previous team, so he knows them, and they're more than capable of coming into the side. And Clydebank will be strong this year, I've no doubt about that, and we'll have a tough first game of the season, that's for sure.
Definitely. Myself and Shanker spoke to Clydebank manager Gordon Moffat for the upcoming season. So we're joined by the Clydebank manager, Gordon Moffat. Gordon, welcome to the show. How have you been?
Yeah, good, thanks. Just plodding on like everybody else, try to get through pre-season and navigating all the COVID stuff. But no, I'm fine, thanks.
How excited are you to the season? Just kicking off shortly.
I think like everybody else, at all levels, just really glad to have football back. It's obviously, it's a big part of my life, it's a big part of a lot of people's lives. So just glad to be back, even just training, and playing some friendlies. It's been a godsend for a lot of people. So I'm thankful to have it back.
Definitely. Pre-season, how hard's it been to get everybody back to normal after such a long layoff?
Hard, if I'm honest. It's been different. I've said that to the players that it's hard to put yourself in their shoes, because normally you can sort of empathise with players and say, look, I know how it feels. You've had that 4 to 6 week layoff and you've got to get your sharpness back up and whatever. But the guys are 6 months for some of them. Some of them are up to a year of no football. So it's very hard to put yourself in their shoes and know how their bodies are feeling and stuff. So it's been very, very different. But I can only speak for my players, obviously, but they've dealt with it so well. They've been great, and I feel like we're starting to get there now. Still got a wee bit to go, but we're gradually getting there.
Hey, Gordon, just before, see how it's different in such a long layoff. Did you have to you've got players coming in and you've maybe got an expectation level of where they're going to run about where they're meant to be for the season? Did you have to drop that a wee bit, or what, just for how long obviously the layoff, or are they still in touch with them? Can I tell them to keep their tail ticking over kind of thing?
I think man, we'll maybe be a wee bit different for you, because I know obviously you guys decided not to play. So we obviously had that spell of playing last season for a bit, and again, even that was disrupted. And whether that was the right decision or not, it was a decision we made, and we tried it. But so we had a wee bit of football, then nothing, then it was a bit stop-start. So then it was pretty much from January that we were starting again, almost from nothing. So the guys, I pretty much said to them, look, just go and have a break. There was no point in, yourself, mate. It's, ticking over with remote training and that. It's hard. It's mentally hard for the guys to keep going with that. And so we just gave them a total break. And then when we started to get back in it, we did a wee bit of remote sessions again. Then slowly groups of 2s or 3s, so guys were local to each other. And again, we had them in the GPS and all that. But as you know, Shankers, there's only so much you can do. Do you know what I mean? That's no football running. Mm-hmm. It's just running. And I was conscious that I didn't want to turn them into 5k runners or 10k record holders. We're trying to get them ready to play football. So I'm quite focused on football specific training. So we did a wee bit of that remote, because I think we just had to get a general fitness. But it's been very difficult, and I think getting them back into pre-season, we approached it a wee bit different. It's been a bit of a slower build, and now we're right into obviously games and shorter stuff, and then try to get them ready. But you'll know yourself, mate. It's been hard. Let's not kid ourselves.
Definitely. What changes have you made to the squad this summer?
So again, I think just relating to what I was saying there, because obviously I'd done quite a serious rebuild last summer. So I brought a lot of players in and out. I think it was 12 new players to the club last year, including a couple of guys that promoted to the 20s. So it was a huge turnover. And we'd obviously started really well, albeit we'd only played 7-8 games, but we'd started well. So I didn't really want to make wholesale changes, to be honest with you, because we've not really seen what a squad's capable of yet. So I was lucky enough, obviously kept the nucleus of squad. We've only really turned over 3 or 4. So we had Gary McMenamin has stepped back. He's my assistant, obviously, but he stepped back from playing a wee bit. Andy Patterson retired. And with young Ben Cameron's moved through the university in Edinburgh. So we've put him out on loan for the season to Musselburgh. So we had 3 out, and then we brought in 3. So Adam Hodge for Hurlford, Hamish McInally, that Shankers will know for Talbot, and Kevin Green. And then we made young Liam Harris's loan for Hamilton Accies permanent. So quite minimal, to be honest with you, just small tweaks. But again, key positions we wanted to strengthen. So it's been fairly minimal, but I think quite a lot of teams have been like that. Because their squads and we've not really had a chance to see them. So why would you change too much?
Yeah, definitely. Final question: obviously you were top of the league before the season was curtailed last year. Where do you see yourselves in this season? What's your kind of hopes and expectations for the season ahead?
I think for me, when I came to the club at Clydebank, we were skating about mid-table, and I've said this on quite a few things, and don't want to hark back to when I played, but when I played for the club, when we're in the Premier, we're a top 3-4 team. So I think, if I'm honest, when I came to the club and spoke to the board, that's my aspirations, to get us back at the sharp end of the league, if you like. So, I mean, I'm realistic in terms of where we're at budget-wise compared to maybe some of the big guns, but at the same time, we've got a terrific infrastructure at the club. We've got everything set up there, and we're now, we're really attracting top players now. Some of the signings that we've been bringing over in the last 2 years. So, I mean, I want to go and win the league, but our first target is to go and get back at that top end and challenging and mixing it with the big guys and going to semi-finals and finals of the cups and stuff. That's got to be the aim for a club this size. As I said, realistic with the budget side of where we're at, but to me that shouldn't be a barrier. That's not the be all and end all. We never had a big budget when I played for the club, and we were in that position. So it can't. What I'm saying is it can't be an excuse. I need to get us back at the top end of this league, and obviously at some point we want to go and get that promotion place and go up. That's, if I'm honest, that's the aspirations for this club.
Thanks very much for coming on, Gordon. Best of luck for the season ahead.
No worries, mate. Enjoy. Cheers.
We'll move into Cumnock. Shankers, Auchinleck and Cumnock have got a big history. What's the expectations for Cumnock this season, do we think?
I think previous seasons Cumnock have kind of been a middle of the road side and just sometimes maybe happy to win the division. But I think with Tony McInally there now, Cumnock's ambitions, the size of the club, the support that they have around the area, they have to be up there, similar with Meadow, they have to be up there at the top end of the table to be deemed a successful season. And Tony's brought in a good few players. He's brought in Kyle McCausland, who was at Glenafton, a local lad who knows what he's been successful at Glenafton with winning the league and the Scottish Cup. So adding him into the squad will be a good addition. There's a few others there. They lost Paul Burns as well, which will be a loss to them because he's a very good player, and know that he's also experienced. But I'm sure Tony's done it from to get them up challenging and get them at the high end of the table, and that's what he'll be looking to do. And as I said, a successful season for Cumnock, they have to be up there challenging, that's for sure.
Definitely. Lochlin, what's your thoughts on Cumnock going into this season?
Aye, Tony McInally's a winner. That's why they've brought him in. It just shows their ambition. Cumnock, they're not going to be a middle of the road team anymore, as Shankers says. I think they were the first team to get licensed out of the new batch of licensed teams as well. So that just shows, again, their ambition to get everything done, and that they'll win the senior Scottish as well. I don't think they've been in that before. We're right in saying, so that'll be a good experience for them as well. So it's all kind of positive, absolutely, and I think they'll be kind of one under the radar possibly to watch. Maybe not the Talbot game, Shankland.
Brilliant. But I spoke to Tony McInally, the Cumnock manager, about the expectations for Cumnock this season. So we're joined by the Cumnock manager, Tony McInally. Tony, it's a pleasure to welcome you on to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for inviting me, Scott. Appreciate being on the show.
No worries. How you been?
Aye, good. Just working away, family, work, football, just the way it is. So, yeah, definitely. Having a great time. How
excited are you for the season to start?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's good to get back to a wee bit of normality with, people are getting the vaccinations now. Myself, I've had a couple of jags. Boys are getting excited. They're getting a bit fitter, getting a bit of team spirit, and the boys are glad to be back. Yeah, so really excited for the season ahead. I think it should be a really competitive league, and wee bit added spice. We've got the wider the soccer shop Scottish Cup.
Yeah.
Also as well, we've got the big senior Scottish Cup as well. So a wee bit different all round
Yeah, definitely.
from what's normal.
Definitely. How hard's it been to get the players back into shape for pre-season? Have you found it easier than you thought?
No, more difficult. We've had just a lot of conditioning issues. I think most clubs will probably tell you the same. The boys were doing their own 5Ks and cycling and all the different stuff, but football conditioning is completely different from just doing your own running. There's no really competitiveness in that. So yeah, it's been difficult to get the boys back in condition and get back into shape. So we've tried to stage the pre-season back. We started back like one night a week, then we went one night a week on a Saturday, and then we get into a rhythm in the last kind of 3 or 4 weeks. So just trying to get the boys back in shape, yeah.
Brilliant. What changes have you made to the squad this summer?
I've kept my better players, all the ones that I wanted to keep. I've kept, your Kieran Hugheses, your Kel McCausland, Alan Murdochs, Owen Bell, Finlay Fries, and the likes. Unfortunately, we've had a few bumps in the road. Paul Burns announced his retirement, which is a blow because Burner's a fantastic pro and a great player. But we found a role for him within the academy structure. So he's had a player pathway. So he works closely with us in the first team and the 20s. And Ryan Caddis, who'd signed for the season, and I would never stand in any player's road. Ryan got offered the manager's job. We spoke it through. He quite fancied it. And, I've tried to help him along the way. So I wish Ryan all the best. And hopefully he makes the most of being a manager. But we've replaced him with good players. I've brought in Chris Stafford from Morton. I've brought in Liam Douglas from Queen of the South. I've got Darren McGill back with us. I've got Big Rory McIntyre from Partick Thistle. Nathan Baird signed from Ayr United. So and I've got about 3 or 4 in trial just now, and I'm hoping to announce maybe 1 or 2 signings next week after tomorrow's game.
Brilliant. What's hopes and expectations this season? Where do you see the club finishing?
Too experienced to kind of guess that. I always find it in this level, I just want us to be very, very competitive, go as far as we can in the cups, try and win something, and go as high up the league as possible. It's a bit cutthroat more than most years with 7 going down.
Yeah.
So I think it's imperative that you're consistent in the league to try and get yourself out of the trouble zone. And once you've done that, then you can look at different targets. The other thing as well about the league as well is that there's always shocks in the league. Teams that you expect to do well don't do well. Teams that you don't expect to do well come from nowhere and do something. I've always found that at this West of Scotland league that there's always a team that surprises you, that comes from nowhere and does something. But I would expect the kind of usual suspect. A lot of clubs have spent heavily in terms of budget. But it's fantastic to see a lot of clubs getting their Scottish licence, their SFA licence. Fantastic to see the investment in not only the playing staff, but in the facilities round about. A lot of clubs, our own selves, the likes of Clydebank have invested, Auchinleck's invested, Darvel's invested, Colwinning's invested. So it's fantastic to see the investment in other clubs.
Definitely. As well. Final question: how excited are you to have the fans back this season?
It's brilliant. I mean, I don't think anyone that's of a football persuasion or a football mind who have played and managed at this level or any level would say that football was real last year. It was really, really fake and false. I didn't really enjoy watching football last year, if I'm being honest, on the TV. Fans always add to the atmosphere, and also they keep it real for you. If you're not doing well, they let you know. If you're doing well, it's fantastic to hear the roar of the crowd when your team wins or scores a goal. So, so excited to have the fans back. And I'm sure I speak for all the managers and players that fans certainly, is most welcome back in football again.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for coming on, Tony. Best of luck for the season ahead.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate your time. Thanks.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Scott.
We'll move on to Kirkintilloch, Rob Roy, who have had a difficult couple of years. Shanker's not been at the their usual stadium. How important is it for the fan base for the team to perform on the park?
It's huge, and we spoke about, we've got them in the second game of the season up at Cumnock, and it's always a tough place to go. It's maybe no nice saying this, but it is a horrible place to go, especially on a Wednesday night or at the end of the season where you're looking to go for a result. And at times we've struggled up there against Kirkintilloch, and Stewart Maxwell's been there for a good few years. He knows how to play this league and play against certain teams, and he picks up results. And Rob Roy, again, they'll be looking to maybe just see themselves safe this season as well, and maybe kick on for that. It's going to be tough. I know we've said a few times about 7 or 8 teams getting relegated, but it is going to be tough for, as Lochlin said, it's nearly half the league. So, I mean, you could be sitting middle of the road thinking you're safe, and then lose a couple of games and then you're back down. So I think Rob Roy will be one of the teams that'll be scrapping for points, and it's always a difficult place to go. And
Lochlin, what's your thoughts on Rob Roy?
It's a funny one because Rob Roy, a few years ago, they were up challenging for the title. I remember they had an incredible start one season. I think they went, was it unbeaten in the first 10 or something like that? You know, they had an incredible season. That was under, obviously, Maxwell. It's such, as Shanker says, it's a hard place to go. You know, the park at Cumbernauld, it suits them to a T, the way they kind of play. You know, they've got it down to the ground and stuff. But I think, again, I'm pretty sure the last junior season they were kind of struggling near the bottom of the table. I think they might actually have been bottom, if my memory serves me. Yeah. So, I mean, that doesn't bode well when half the league's going down. But, you know, I'm not going to say that I know too much about how they've recruited, but they definitely need to have strengthened kind of quite well to avoid the drop, and that'll be the one and only aim, I'd imagine.
Yeah, definitely. I spoke to Rob Roy manager Stewart Maxwell for the upcoming season. So we're joined by the Kirkintilloch Rob Roy manager Stewart Maxwell. Stewart, thanks very much for coming on. It's a pleasure to have you.
No problem. It's good to see you.
Brilliant. How you been?
Aye, I've been good. Probably everything else, a wee bit sick of lockdowns and everything that's went with it, but been challenging. Been from a football perspective, been very challenging for, as I say, for everybody this year. So a lot of changes and a lot of new things, but just try and go as best I can.
Definitely. How excited are you for the season to be starting up again?
With 7 teams can do, I'm not too excited. No, listen. See, from players' point of view, it's good to see young men back playing. I sort of analysed how I would have coped with this as a young guy through the pandemic if I was still obviously playing, and it was really tough, and it's been tough for the players to come back because obviously managers are demanding.
What kind of changes have been made to the squad this year, and how do you feel about the squad?
Well, I've been the manager at Rob Roy for 9 years, and this is the third, maybe the final time I've had to rip the sheet of paper up and start again. So it's basically bar 2 players, my captain, my vice captain. It's a whole new squad. We managed to get together for 7 games last year, but you know yourself, wasn't enough. But there's a lot of good young players there, technically good football players, but they've now come into rough and tumble non-league football where there's so many teams riddled with quality, and can technically match teams, definitely, but that's no, it's going to make the difference. I think if you can mentally and physically match teams as well, and we'll take a wee bit of time to adjust to that. But let's say if I can keep it together and keep them improving, which I'm on a limited budget anyway just now, so that's the only opportunity I've got. But we worked really hard to get players in because it's difficult to get players in, even with guys with a sort of bigger budget. I'll tell you that. But it's going to be a learning curve, but I'm hoping we can learn quickly.
You mentioned there obviously about the kind of the start season. The plans for the new stadium was it the plan to kind of move into that as soon as possible? And how's it been kind of falling apart?
It's been like being in a horror movie, to be honest. There's been so many points that we thought we were nearly there, and then it's fell back in the last couple of years. But then all of a sudden the council came out with a statement from them saying that everything had been passed and we're ready to go, and we're looking for a start date in late March, early April. Obviously, they'll hide behind the COVID issue is why it's been delayed, but it's not been good enough, to be honest, Scott, and it's really held the club back. And I really, at one point, I feared as if there would be a club, and I've went to MSPs. Obviously, I've been there a long time. As I said, I'm local in the community as well, and I've got a bit of respect for local councillors. And I mean, I said Rob Roy's an institution. It's a club that's 140 plus years old, and I said it can't keep going on the way it is. It's a fractured club. The big name, great support, good people that run it, but our infrastructure is really fractured. You know, we've no stadium. We can't draw in sponsorship. And the supporters are probably, to be honest, the supporters are getting fed up with travelling out with their town, and such a big town as well. So, from my point of view, I'm there to keep Rob Roy alive with the chairman and the small committee, and I feel as if we don't get the proposed start date, I'm moving into, I think it may be July, Scott, I'm led to believe. I fear for the future of the club, and I think it's only when you lose something within your community as big as that you would realise, and people would take up point when it's too late, if that makes sense.
How important have the support been, and how excited are you to welcome them back this season?
Do you know what, Rob Roy, I've got great support. I mean, we've over the years, and I mean, I played there, and especially when you're selling another team, you're doing well, you support you, but they've been great to me. Been great to me as a manager, and I've had the highs as every manager, and as every manager had a lot of lows, but they've been a great support, and I've not seen a lot of them for a long time, and I've got a personal touch with a lot of them now as well. So it'd be good to see, just for everybody in general, to see, even to get abuse off for away fans, you know what I mean? Just to see everybody back and get a wee bit of normality. It's been tough for everybody, but we've a lot of non-league clubs have got an older support. We've lost a couple during the pandemic, which is hard, and we've had one of our coaches, a younger coach that I brought through, has been really ill through the last couple of months, and that's been hard to watch. Such a young guy really struggle. That's took a bearing on the club as well. So yeah, there's a lot of things, but no, I just genuinely want to see people back.
Brilliant. Lastly, what's the hopes and expectations for this season? Where do you see yourselves finishing in the league?
If I finish 8th bottom, that'll be like winning the league for me this year. To be honest, it'll be tough. I'm not going to lie and sit there and give false. I think we've got to stay at the bottom 7. I think if Rob Roy can do that, it'd be a massive achievement. I think if we can do that, it would be a massive achievement for that squad of players at the age of that. And then I think they could really kick on. You can start to see the fruits of that maybe the following year. So it's massive. But I have said to him, like, the non-league season is potentially 38 league games and say cups. You've been close to 50 games, Scott. Yeah. A lot of players at that age group, non-league players, haven't played that amount of games coming off the back of being inactive for 6 months. So there's going to be a big strain in every squad in the league, and there's going to be a lot of squad changes with the COVID situation and injuries, etc. But if we can do that, and we can stay in there and give ourselves a chance, if we stay up, I think the nucleus of that squad the following year could accelerate really to the next level. So that's what we're hoping. But we can only do what we can do, and we can't go and bring in established players when you've not got that sort of finances to do that. So we've got to try and take a few gambles as young boys. Every player's a gamble, but younger boys especially, and hopefully there's a few diamonds come through, and we can keep it together and finish at the bottom 7.
Brilliant. Best of luck this season, Stuart. Thanks very much for coming on.
No problem. Take care. Speak to you soon.
And that is part 2, where we looked at Irvine Meadow, Clydebank, Cumnock and Rob Roy. We'll be back tomorrow, where we'll do Glenafton, Darvel, Troon and Cumbernauld United. Shankers, Lochlin, it's been an absolute pleasure again, and we'll see everyone tomorrow. Thank you.